Morphological description. The difference between derivational morphemes and inflectional morphemes. Derivational morphemes change class, whereas inflectional do not. Old and older are adjective. They are the same parts of speech. For example, we have ER inflection, which comes from Old English from R, right? Simply creates a different version of an adjective when we add it to an adjective, as you have just seen. By adding it to old, we get older. However, the verb teach becomes the noun if we add ER to it and make it a teacher. The ER in this case comes from also Old English ERE. So the suffix ER in modern English for adjective, it's an inflection. It is inflectional, right? And for noun, it's a distinct derivational morpheme as part of the noun. So, for example, we can describe morphological process in such a way. We take a sentence, the child's simplicity impressed the teacher. So we have the which is a functional morpheme, child, which is a lexical morpheme, the S, it's an inflectional morpheme, simple, it is a lexical morpheme, city, it is a derivational morpheme because it made the simple, which is an adjective, to a noun. And similarly, impress, it's a lexical morpheme, it's a past tense morpheme, it's inflectional, it's again functional, and teach, it's a lexical, and ER, it's a derivational. So this is how we can describe the morphological process of the sentence by segregating it into different types of morphemes and telling which morphemes are derivational, which are functional, which are inflectional, right? So this is how, which are lexical, this is how we can describe. There is another way we can do the same. For example, we have morpheme. We can say that we can divide it into free and bound morpheme. And when we come on to free, we have two, lexical and functional. So from the same sentence, lexical becomes child, impress, and teach. And functional become and the or the. And we get to bound morpheme. They are of two types, derivational and inflectional. So in this sentence, and city are derivational morphemes, and S and ED are inflectional morphemes. So this is a way of explaining a sentence on the morphological basis, or we can say this is the morphological description of a sentence in which we can segregate all types of morphemes. So we can segregate one type of morpheme from another. We can tell which are derivational morpheme, which are inflectional morpheme, which are lexical morpheme, which are functional morphemes. So order of morpheme that needs to be understood, and they must that must be remembered. Derivational morpheme comes attached to the stem, and it always comes right after the stem, whereas the inflectional morphemes comes after the derivational morpheme, if there is any, right? So we have an example that teach becomes teacher after derivational morphemes, and then teacher become teachers after an inflectional morpheme. So this is one way of describing morphological process.